Influence is the currency of business growth. We're not talking about techniques. We're not talking about ways to trick people into things. We're not talking about how can we influence them by manipulating them. What we're talking about is what are the timeless ancient principles that really govern everything. We are going to talk about principles that will allow you to go from a no to a yes. In a University of Chicago study, it was shown that people are 12% more productive if they're happy and 10% less productive if they're unhappy. Do you want to make your coworkers and management and customers and clients happy? Do you want to have more influence with those people? Do you want to be an influential leader? Leaders actually emerge as they listen to others. Is that interesting? If you want to lead someone in a company or in a business or in a family or in a sales relationship, you gain more influence by just listening to them. In fact, there was a study done that showed that the correlation between listening and job satisfaction is almost 3 times greater than the correlation between pay and job satisfaction. Like the correlation was 286% stronger. That means if I'm a business owner and I want to have happy employees, there's a good chance I'll be more effective by just instilling a culture of listening in my company than by throwing money at people. Let's talk a little bit about real world influence. I'm sitting in New York, sitting across the table from a high-level director in New York, and he looks at me and he says, "You are the only salesperson I have ever led into my office. What do you think I did to get an appointment with this high-level director in New York?" Yeah, listen, you're pretty close. This is what happened. So when you're trying to get inside an organization, first of all, you have to get in front of a decision maker. So you can have an organization of like 10,000 people or maybe 10 people. But the problem is like if you don't get in front of somebody who can actually write the checks or sign the deals, it doesn't work, right? And so what happened is I called in several days later and I tried to talk to this guy and say, "Can I speak with Bob?" And who did I run into? I ran into his secretary. His secretary picked up the phone and I said, "Can I speak with Bob?" And she said, "He's unavailable." Which, by the way, is what they always say. They're always unavailable. You know, they're in a meeting, they're in a conference, you know, they may be golfing, they may be just sitting there in their office twiddling their thumbs. They're not available to you if you're a salesperson. And I said, okay, maybe what I could do is send the email that I sent a little while ago and copy it to you to make sure he gets it. Would that be okay? And she said, sure. And then I noticed, as we started talking a little bit after that, I noticed that she was very pleasant to talk to. She had this really friendly, bubbly personality. She was just kind of one of those people who you kind of feel like, wow, she's friendly and nice. And different than a lot of the other secretaries that I had talked to. And when she was talking to me like this, I said, you know what? I talk to people all day long on the phone. I really appreciate you being so friendly and courteous and professional. Thank you. And she said, well, thanks. And I said, you know, I'm going to mention that to your boss. And I pulled up the email that I'd sent before, and I typed really fast. I said something like this: "Dear Bob, I had the opportunity of working with Janice. She was very professional and courteous. I think she's an asset to your team." Fast forward, I'm sitting there in this high-level director's office in New York. He looks at me and says, "You're the only salesperson I've let into my office." This is what he said next. He said, "The reason you're here is because you were nice to my secretary." He said, "I talk to my secretary more than I talk to my wife, and some of these sales guys don't understand that." Isn't that interesting? The secrets of influence really aren't secrets. They're timeless, ancient principles, like treating people like you want to be treated. But if you can learn what they are and align with them, in the long run, you can make massive, massive gains in your ability to influence people.